Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with Stacy Long today. We finally managed to get Stacy for one of these interviews. So how's things been, Stacy? Is everything all right?
Yeah, not too bad. It's strange for everyone, isn't it, at the minute? But I'm very fortunate. House with a garden, and the kids are able to play out, so there's a bit of normality. It's not too different to what we'd be doing anyway, I'm sure. And the parks are open, so we're allowed to go there. So, yeah, my life, I have to say, I'm very fortunate that we're able to kind of enjoy certain things, whereas it's very difficult, obviously, for many people.
And before we get into your time at Stevenage as well, there's been so much that's been happening. You were just saying there, you do a bit of coaching, you still play a little bit, and you've been active in other sort of different avenues as well.
Yeah, so I'm at a team called Glebe, which is in the South East Counties League. It's very local to me. The manager's Gareth Alexander, the ex-Millwall and Wimbledon.
Okay, yeah.
Forwards. I played with Gaz at Wimbledon, so we've known each other for quite a while. But I was actually there before he joined, but he came in as manager a year to 18 months ago, something like that.
Right.
It's a great little club, great setup, and obviously Gaz comes from a professional background, so he's really putting the professional aspect to it. And so yeah, I'm coaching a bit there and playing, still running around. But obviously since December or whatever the date was, we haven't been able to go in. But yeah, coinciding with that is I kind of opened a little coffee shop back in October, just literally I think it was a week or two before the second lockdown. But
Okay.
yeah, it's very fortunate the way we had it set up. The concept was built for a kind of a takeaway purpose.
Deliveries and that, yeah.
It was a pre-COVID idea, but it was just fortunate that it did coincide with kind of the restrictions that are out in place at the minute. And yeah, we've kind of worked as a COVID business. So I just need to make sure that it works outside of COVID. So yeah, it's been really good, nice little change.
And of course, we'll get into your move to Stevenage now. Of course, you signed from Ebbsfleet, didn't you? So what was it about, Stevenage Football Club, and what was it that kind of attracted you to want to, make the step?
I left Ebbsfleet at the end. I think I've been there for 3 years, and I think it came to a stage with Ebbsfleet where the budget completely changed, and the manager Liam Daish at the time had a chat with a good few of us players, saying it's just going to be impossible to offer you guys something next year. So we knew what was on the card. He was pretty open and honest about it. And I remember at the time, I think I seriously spoke with Wimbledon, Crawley, and Stevenage. I think they were the 3 clubs at the time.
Right.
I didn't really know too much or anyone at Crawley or Wimbledon at the time. Michael Boswick had gone from Ebbsfleet to Stevenage.
That's right, he did, yeah.
A year before, maybe. So I had kind of an inside man already who could kind of give me the intel to it all. And then I remember I actually met Graham. I was on holiday in Portugal.
Okay.
And Bozzy was texting me saying, "Oh, Graham's, wants to have a chat, whatever." And
yeah,
I said, "No problem." I said, "I'm on holiday at the minute, but yeah, give me past numbers, whatever." And he texted me saying, "Can we catch up?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm on holiday." But anyway, he said, "Where are you?" And it ended up we were about 10 kilometers away from each other in Portugal at the same time. So
okay, so you met out in Portugal. All right.
Yeah, for the first time. Yeah, so I went across to his hotel. And I think I was expecting like a 10-minute chat. I think it turned into 2.5 hours. Yeah, that was where we first met, and I think it was obvious from that moment. You could just see the intent that he had as a manager for the club. And I think what he did with me was, as well as a lot of players, he invested in players who maybe started at a half decent level but didn't quite crack it for whatever reason.
That's right, because you started with Charlton, like the academy at Charlton, didn't you? So yeah,
I was very fortunate because I was there at such a great time, but the worst time at the same time, because they were in the Premier League.
Yeah,
a successful Premier League team, really. I think they were finishing 8th at one stage, something like that. So a real big club at the time. It was the likes of Scott Parker and Paolo Di Canio. So you're trying to break through at 17, 18, 19 against players like that. You've got to be super special. And it was
sure they probably had Chris Powell as well, didn't they? And he went on to manage them.
Yeah, exactly. That was the team. That was the squad at that stage, which was great. I mean, every day going in and training with those sort of players, the caliber of that talent was amazing, but it was also, you know, a bit frustrating because you felt like you were that far away, but at the same time, a million miles away from being a Premier League footballer. So it was really a great time, but a difficult time at the same time. So yeah, I think Graham was quite clever at doing things like that. He was finding players who had just maybe dropped out for whatever reason, but were still hungry, you know. So yeah, we met that day. I think he could see the hunger I had. I could see the hunger he had, and I think it was almost agreed by the time I walked away from that meeting that I'd be signing for Stevenage.
Okay, and then you mentioned obviously with Graham there as well. So was that your kind of style? Did that work for you? The kind of style that Graham had?
Yeah, I suppose I probably didn't know the real style of the first day. I mean, it's like it was like and is like no other football club. There's just no environment, you know, that like it. If you were to explain or try to explain to any other players who hadn't played for Graham, they genuinely just don't believe you. They just don't believe you. And what we explain, us the lads that were together for that time, when we try and explain it, it's just a drop in the ocean, really, of what really, I suppose we went through, because you forget so much. There's so much. But yeah, it was. I think again, it was just at an age where I was hungry, and it was. You knew you weren't leaving anything left. It was. I mean, it was extremely hard work. I still wake up now having nightmares that I'm signing back for Stevenage in the day where it was 24-hour days. No, I think you realise you weren't leaving any stone left unturned, and you were working your socks off to try and get to where you got to. And if you didn't, you didn't. But you knew that you were trying your hardest. But just fortunately, it paid off.
And of course, you made your debut in the 1-1 draw with Tamworth, and then that season was a very successful season, wasn't it? The conference winning season. So just kind of talk to us a little bit about that season, really, and you know how it all kind of. I think it was pretty much the second part of the season. It all kind of just went and kind of everything just kind of clicked, didn't it?
Yeah, I remember. It was because it was us in Oxford at the time, and I remember that being quite a big focus. They were kind of right. That's our point. That's where we're going to pick away and chip away at. I think it was. I can't remember. I feel like it was a 10-point gap at one stage. Something.
It was. About that. Yeah.
And then I always remember. I think it was a Tuesday night at home to Oxford, and I can't quite remember the stats of it, but I think they were maybe ahead of us, but we had 2 games in hand, something like that. And it was that night was the big night, and I remember winning that, and that just
that's it. We beat them, and then it all changed. Yeah.
From then on, it was a foregone conclusion. And
we won it by quite a distance, didn't we, as well? Yeah. And that's without the points from Chester as well, of course, because they folded during that season.
Yeah, well, I think what happened where they were so far ahead at one point, it looked like it was going to be them. When we beat them that night and we suddenly took the lead, it was like we just gained the momentum and they suddenly had a bit of a crumble. And I think we knew what was going to happen and they knew what was going to happen. So I think that's why we ended up with such a big points difference. But I mean, looking back at it, it's the biggest thing I take from it is that camaraderie, that team spirit. That it's everyone says it. You can't buy it. You can't force it. You can't create it. It's just something that happens for whatever reason. Maybe it's doing the 24 hours. 365 days.
I completely agree with that camaraderie as well. When you look at that squad, you could see that camaraderie between all of you. You know. And it's names that just reel off the top of your head straight away. You know, Daisy, Laurie, Robbo, Ash, Scotty Lairds, you know, Laurie Wilson, Ronnie Henry. You know, obviously midfielders like yourself and Moose and Boswick and
it's a great team. Do you know, the thing is as well, I think why we had that spirit is because it wasn't always good. There was near on every day. There were arguments, there were fights. You know, it was an intense environment, but everyone was honest. It was always honest, and if someone wasn't quite right, you were told you're not quite right. You should be doing this. You need to be at that. Which everyone's got a different character. Some people love hearing that. Some people really don't like hearing that. But ultimately, I think everyone learnt to love hearing it and really adapted well. So. I think when you can get through periods of time like that, when it's tough and, you know, there are fights, there are arguments, when times are good, they're really good. And you can
absolutely
enjoy it.
Reap the rewards of that, yeah. And then in that season as well, of course, we won the title and we got through to the FA Trophy final. We could have had that double as well. And you'd scored a couple of goals previously, but then obviously you missed out in the final as well, didn't you? The trophy final.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It was gutting. I played in the trophy final. I think it was 2 seasons before with Ebbsfleet, and we won it, which was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And then being with Stevenage, got to the final. It was, you know, it would have been fantastic to do the double. I actually had. I think I'd been. I don't know if it was that year or the year after, but we. Graham knows or knew, I don't know if they're still there, the manager of Wembley Stadium or something like that. And I remember Tuesday morning, myself, Bozzy, I can't remember, I think it might have been Joel Byram, the 3 of us, and maybe Moose. We had to go and trial the new Wembley pitch because it's just when they laid the grass.
The
Emirates use, and obviously a lot of them use now. And I think we were the first people to go and trial it. So we were there all morning. It was a gorgeous Tuesday morning. I think it was about 80 degrees.
Oh, wow.
It was just the 4 of us kicking a ball about at Wembley. So I've been to Wembley 3 times. And that was an amazing experience on its own, even though it was empty. But going back to the trophy, it was a disappointing one. I mean, first of all, disappointed we didn't win it. If we'd have won it, that would have been made everything. But obviously gutting not to have got on or started. I think to top it off on that day, so we didn't get on. We'd lost. Yeah. And then my name got pulled out for the drugs test. So I was sat in the change room or the testing room for however long after, having just lost, not played, and having to be watched go to the toilet and have a drugs test. One of those days.
And of course, that final was, Bridgerow was sent off in that final, and that was absolutely ridiculous how he got sent off. Of course, Charlie Griffin got that nasty injury as well, didn't he? With the whole face, his jaw was broken in about 3 different places, whatever it was. Yeah,
it was. It just was. But I think sometimes, for whatever reason, it just happens like that. The day just doesn't go right. It goes from bad to worse. I think we went into it kind of, you know, we're heavily favourites against Borough, you know, but when you get to a final like that, no one's given the right to go and win it. You have to perform on the day. You know, our performance probably wasn't where it could have been, where it should have been. It's one of those things you feel like you just got away from it. It would have been nice to have done the double. It would have been a nice thing to be able to say that we did the double. But
ironically, we're
obviously the priority.
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to say there, ironically, we're at home to Borough tomorrow as well, so...
Is that right? Really?
Yeah.
I've been it's funny because, you know, I don't look at too many results, but Stevenage are obviously one of the few that I always check up on, always just want to see how they're getting on. I think it's one of those things I don't think it will ever leave you once you're at a club like Stevenage. It's kind of ingrained in you, and you'd always be looking out for the results.
Yeah, so of course we're playing Borough tomorrow, and of course we're in decent form at the moment, which we'll touch on in a little while. But so going back to your time at the club, of course, you scored in the quarter-final and the second round of that trophy. We just touched on that. You also scored a couple of goals against Kettering as well. So do you remember much about those games, and what was it like to play in those derbies? Of course, Barnet as well, you scored against the season after, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny. It's my dad actually probably reminds me more than anyone because he's retired now, so he spends loads of time being on the phone or the iPad watching a bit of YouTube, and he's like,
I tell you what.
Funny to say that it was the Barnet game. He said, "I've just seen him score a goal against Barnet," and he showed it to me again. But it's funny. I think they're all in there upstairs somewhere, but it's sometimes it's nice to see them and be reminded of them because
I was just watching.
Some moments, obviously, you can...
No, I was just saying just before we did the stream, I was just watching your goal against Charlton. So.
Well, see, I always get reminded that it shouldn't have been my goal because it was yet again another deflection. But that was that. Do you know what? That was a great moment. I think having left Charlton, there was never any bitterness leaving the club, but I've been there since, I think, God, 9 years old. So it was like a 12-year stint, something like that. So to me, it was my second home. So leaving club at 21 years old was a huge thing for me. But it was nice to. It's almost felt like I'd almost come a bit full circle, having the chance to play against that club. So, even if I was still at Charlton, for example, I'd have been playing in that game potentially. So it was like I'd come full circle. And then to get the goal to make it 1-0, and that was the year I believe they won League Two.
Yeah, it was
League One to go into the Championship.
And Charlton were top of the league at that time, and I think we were nearest, like, a couple of places above the relegation zone.
Yeah. So it was a huge victory. I remember it was a great day. It's one of those games that it's just amazing. You've gone from the conference, which obviously is a great, fantastic level, but going from that and playing in a game against Charlton, where the Charlton fans, brought all their fans, so every seat was taken, and the singing, you genuinely, you appreciate it on the pitch that there's real meaning and a genuine atmosphere around the stadium. So they were great games to play in.
And of course, what was it like to obviously move up through the Football League as well? When the League Two final, of course, playing at Old Trafford and beating Torquay as well, and that run.
Yeah, it was. They're just great moments. They're the kind of moments that make you proud. And if someone asks you about your football career, or they find out you've played a bit of football, and they're the kind of moments you can call upon, and they're the great ones to recall, really.
You've been to a fair few decent stadiums as well, haven't you? You were on the bench at White Hart Lane. You were Old Trafford, Wembley a few times. Yeah,
been very fortunate. Even, we played the Sheffield United, the Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, but Bournemouth as well. Yeah.
Bournemouth. But yeah, actually, Sheffield United was a great game. We played twice. I think we played them just before the end of the season, where they were still on track to go straight up, I think, without.
Yeah, and I think we drew 2-2. We were 2-0 up at half time, I believe. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, 2-2. And I think that was a sellout. And then we went back up there, obviously, in the playoffs quite shortly after. So there were two fantastic games, that complete sellouts. That was again a real, a proper game. So yeah, fantastic stadiums, fantastic atmospheres. But going up through the leagues, it just felt like we had that momentum for whatever reason. I know when we were in League Two, we were come December, early January, we were kind of struggling a bit. And I remember we used to have discussion day in, day out of what we needed to do, what it would take. Yeah. And it was in and around the Newcastle game maybe that it all kind of fell into place. And after that, we couldn't stop winning. And I'd love to see actually what the points tally was and the place jump from a certain period. I'm sure it was around January to when
I think we jumped up from about like 18th to into the last playoff place. Yeah. Which is a big jump.
Incredible. It was just one of those things that we just seemed to have that momentum, and very fortunately it seemed to carry on through into League One.
And of course, with the Newcastle game as well, when that cup run, we've got to touch on that because that's the whole. You touched on it earlier. The whole mentality of the whole squad really is, and the whole togetherness. It's everyone was fighting for each other, and you weren't scared of playing Newcastle. You could have been playing, Manchester City or Chelsea or whoever, and you would have been the same way.
Yeah, I don't think we ever went into a game setting up to just get a result, which may be a draw or conceding only a couple. It was never like that. We genuinely went into that Newcastle game knowing we were going to win. It wasn't we're playing the Premier League, let's see what we can do. We genuinely felt that. I don't think Newcastle enjoyed that Sunday afternoon in the cold at Stevenage.
I did. I did on the East Terrace, mate. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was. Again, that was one of those games that just had that feel. The coldness in the air and the lights, everything about it. You just had that atmosphere, that feel that you can't get. It just, for whatever reason, it just happens. And it was one of those nights we just knew we were gonna get the result.
And of course, you were saying in regards to the Charlton goal that was a deflected goal. Well, you've got that one. I'm totally giving you the Newcastle goal. So,
well, I think I did. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been a radio interview not long after it, and I explained to them that what they didn't realise, because they mentioned it was a deflected goal,
Yeah.
I said, although it may have been heading towards the corner flag, I knew that the wind was an easterly wind. It was.
Yeah.
It would have at some point taken a turn and hit the target and probably gone in anyway. So I'm surprised they didn't give it to me, because they just obviously didn't see what was going to happen.
Well, I'm giving it to you. So there you go. You're certain. Yeah.
I only need one person.
You can certainly have it. But I'm sure, of course, that was a fantastic squad to be a part of. And of course, with Ronnie and Robbo as well, what were those two like? Of course, they were two. One of them was captain, one of them was club captain, wasn't he? So
yeah. So Robbo was an incredible leader. He was probably the one that wouldn't let you get away with anything, would get you to strive on. To be honest, but also, obviously he's a huge man, but he would put his arm around you if he thought you'd need it.
Yeah.
And then Ronnie, on the other hand, was, as you are fully aware, the practical joker who you could just see him laughing continuously.
And Ronnie played today. Ronnie played a game. We had I think it was the Stevenage Academy against Manchester City Academy. And Ronnie and JCR, Jamal Campbell-Lewis, Jamal Campbell-Rice both played.
Did they really?
Yeah.
How did it do?
I lost 2-0, but yeah.
Well,
Man City Academy.
I was with Jamal at Charlton, actually. So I've known Jamal since, we were like, 15, 16, something like that. So we knew each other back in the day. So he's done incredibly well, because I remember I think he got released at Charlton, and I remember he went to the exit trials, and I think he had about 22 clubs trying to sign him after that. I think Charlton realised they made a mistake. He did so well to go on, and he had the determination to have the career he has. Did extremely well. But yeah, Ronnie was great to have around, because there were long days and there were tough days around the training ground, really tough. But Ronnie kept the spirits high. He was the one who would, when you felt like rock bottom, he was the one who made you laugh. But we give it back to him just as much. But he could take. That was the best thing about Ronnie. He could take it as much as he could give it. So, but yeah, two fantastic characters in Robbo and Ronnie. But above all else, they had that winning spirit in them, and they were both two people who would fight you if they wanted to beat you. That was it. They wanted to win.
And we had a lot of that. We had obviously Ash in there as well. Ash is in that mix as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what happens is when you get people like that who do lead that and don't let off, then it just spreads, and you either fall away or you just get carried along with it. And I think that was probably the intention of what Graham did, to have people like that do that without him saying a word. He knew he'd have people in the change room that would just do that, and the squad would do it as a squad rather than being told to do it. You must do this, you must do that. The squad ended up doing it because they wanted to. I think that almost was quite clear when. So I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but when Graham obviously left to go to Preston,
and when Gary come in, yeah.
And Robbo obviously took it, but Robbo was very, very open in listening to everybody, and it was group discussions, and we had amazing results. And the training probably was harder than what we were used to. We didn't let off.
Didn't we win the first game under Robbo like 5-0 or something like that? 5-1.
I think it was Rochdale away. I think.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a 5. Whether it was 5-0, I'm not sure. It was 5-1, 5-0.
So 5-0, 5-1, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember us kind of all being in the dressing room after, and music full blast, everyone chanting. I can't remember what we were chanting, but we were chanting something anyway. And
you were probably singing
the disbelief, because
I was just saying you were probably singing the Dale Cravett.
Yeah. I imagine we were. Yeah, it was one of those things. We just like I say, we weren't in disbelief, but it was just an unbelievable feeling, because it'd been a crazy week or crazy few days, but you could just tell the focus was on getting 3 points at the weekend, and not only did we get the 3 points, we did it in a real convincing
good style
way. Yeah. So I think there was maybe 4 or 5 games that we had maybe without anyone in place, and I think we took something like, was it 10 points from 12, something like.
I know for a fact we were certainly unbeaten in that time. Yeah.
So yeah, it just shows the kind of mentality and the character of the group all the way through, really.
And then what else have we got on here? So we touched on the game against Torquay. We spoke about Ronnie and Robbo there, and the FA Cup as well, a little bit. So yeah, what was it, with that side in general? What was it about that side that just sort of feared no one, whether it was league or cup? How comes that was such a big thing? Yeah.
That's probably a difficult question to answer. That's one of those things that's a little bit of an unknown. Even to like, that's not trying to hide anything. That's just, it's a thing where when you just have a perfect day for whatever reason, there's no explanation. It's just there. It just happens. Mm-hmm. And I think that knowing of we're just going to go and win a game. I can't tell you. I mean, obviously there's loads of different things that give you confidence. The way we trained, we knew we had the physicality and everything like that. But that special thing, whatever it is just one of those things. It's so hard to explain. And the squad had it. The squad had it. It's one of those things that everyone's looking, the ingredient that every manager is looking to put into a team, because I think it probably is one of the most important things. If you have that, then anything is almost possible. There's obviously very successful teams that don't have it, but they're very good at other things. But to be the very, very best and to win as much as you can, you do. I think you need it. You need it. And as I said, I think at the start of the interview, we had it, and it just happened. It wasn't forced upon us. There was nothing in particular that made it happen. It just happened. It just fell into place.
Okay, and then we touched on obviously with the Spurs game a little bit as well, and getting them down here, taking them to a replay, going 1-0 up at White Hart Lane as well is sort of it's what dreams are made of, isn't it? Really,
Yeah. When Joel scored the penalty, it wasn't disbelief. It was just right. Okay, this is what we came here to do.
Yeah. And we could have got something out of that as well. Whether it was a win or whether it was going to extra time, we could have got a result.
That's the thing. It wasn't 1-0 up, and what's happened here. It was we were in the game for a reason. We were performing, and I think probably Tottenham would have looked at it and thought we've been lucky, and this could have been a huge upset. But I think wherever we went, we always performed, and it would never look like there was a difference, a level difference that there was. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Tottenham's quality was incredible and unbelievable players on the pitch. But from our perspective, we knew that we could perform, we could match and go beyond. We had certain things that we thought we'd be better. We thought we were more physical than them. We thought we were fitter than them, which was huge things to have. So, going into that game, you have that confidence that we could be better than them in certain elements, certain aspects.
And we could have beaten them here as well in the original tie. I think Bosley had 2 chances from distance. I think Don Cowan had a chance as well. Yeah,
I think. I mean, at White Hart Lane, obviously we played well. We had a great game, but the first game could have been the one that just we didn't need to take the draw. We could have genuinely gone and won that game and gone through, which would have been incredible. I mean, getting to the 5th round is an amazing feat anyway, but. Yeah, imagine going that extra step or 2 or 3 would have been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And of course, you would have played against some fantastic players as well. Even with the Newcastle game, they had Joey Barton. Who else was there in that midfield? Czech Tiossi, of course, as well. Loads of. Who did they have up top? I can't remember who they had up top.
Whether Anderson started or he came on. I know he was, Wayne Routledge came on. So I mean. Premier League footballers, they didn't play a team or they didn't bring a squad that was players who hadn't played. They played their full strength team. They knew they were going to be in a game. That's what makes it even more meaningful. I think for us, it wasn't like we were playing Newcastle youth team. It was Newcastle United. It was the real deal. So,
did you know much about the past meetings as well back in the '98 when, of course, we took them to the replay? Did Graham mention that at all? Or
I personally knew about it. I think when first coming to Stevenage, or thinking about coming to Stevenage, that was just a famous game that just stood in my mind. I'm sure, I genuinely can't remember, to be honest, but I'm sure it was touched upon, and obviously it was such a huge thing for the club that, coincidentally it came back round. So I think you can take so many bits that give you that extra bit of motivation. I think we were just very fortunate. There was so many different parts that could add to that motivation for us to go and perform. I think it was always about performance. Obviously, we wanted the result, but we always focused on performance, and we knew if we could perform to anywhere near our max, we would more than likely get the result we wanted.
And of course, those old boys from the '98 side, they turned up and they were paraded around at half time, weren't they, as well, during that game?
Yeah, which is fantastic, and rightly so. I mean, for someone before signing for Stevenage, I knew about it. I knew about the game, so
yeah,
it was one of those occasions that was huge. And for them players, it's just amazing that no one can take that away from them. That's in their memory forever, which is an amazing thing. And it's for the fans as well. They're huge occasions that can't be taken away from them. It's such a great thing to be involved in and be a part of, for players or for the fans. And that's what I loved about it, that Stevenage for me was one. It was, although the players get on with their job on a day-to-day basis and playing the games, the club is very much one, and it felt like the fans, the people, the staff, everyone were together and could share that experience together and enjoy it together.
And that's right. Like, even to this present day, it's like that. And even now, we'll touch on it. And let's have a look. Was there anything I wanted to cover before that? I don't really know if there was. In fact, so going back to that, of course, the community side of it as well. It's always been a very community-based club, and even now during the COVID-19 pandemic as well, it's been the club have obviously been very active in regards of how they've been out and about and helping people. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing. I think it popped up on Sky Sports News actually, with the players out and about dropping stuff off to people who needed it, and that just shows really what the club is about. It is a football club, and it wants success, and it wants to be as high as it can. But deep down at its heart, it wants to be a good club and do the best for its community. And it's great. I think that the more successful the club is on the pitch, then it creates better stuff for the community, more opportunity for people to come and see, to enjoy the games. That if you're playing against a high level team, obviously it invites more people to come through the doors. But getting out and about and supporting the community has been, it's so nice to see. And it obviously is a huge thing to pop up on Sky Sports News. It's the real deal, and it's really nice to see. But for me, when I was at Stevenage, that's how it was, and it's great to see that it's continuing still today.
And that even goes on to the next thing I was going to bring up as well. Of course, we played Borough tomorrow, and of course that was the final we played as well, the FA Trophy. And the club, I don't know if you've seen the Borough player that was forced to retire early because of injury. I think his name is Lewis Hardcastle. And the club have actually gone and they've donated, I think it was £200 to Borough before the game tomorrow as well. So.
Really? I haven't seen that. No. See that? Again, that just sums the club up. Such an unfortunate thing to happen, but Stevenage in full support is it just shows where their intentions are. The heart of the club really, which is more important than anything.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, in regards to the Stevenage fans as well, we just touched on it a moment ago, and it's a fantastic time when you were there. And what's your sort of message you would say to the Stevenage fans now? Because obviously the last few seasons haven't been fantastic on the pitch, but it started to pick up under Revs now since sort of Christmas and the start of the new year.
Yeah, I think. I want to thank them because it's so difficult. You don't really get to do that. It comes to a point where, for me, obviously, a new manager came in, Gary Smith, when I was there, and there wasn't a contract offered, whatever it was, and you move on, but it all happens so quickly, and it's not like you get that moment to have a chat with everyone and say, this is what's happening, and we can talk about everything. just kind of thank you and off you go kind of thing. That's football. That's what happens. But the fans to me were absolutely amazing. And even when I've come back, for we've had a game for Mitch and
and Ronnie,
Ronnie's testimonial. The fans are still the fans. They're still the same old faces. It's great that the banter that you can hear from them, but there's at the same time the support. You can just feel it and hear it, and that was always amazing. That was great. Used to love when I was playing left wing, attacking certain way. Because, you had the support of the crowd behind you there, and they were absolutely amazing for the 3 years I was there. I think it's important as well for them to recall on all the memories, all the good times, to know who they are, what they are. It's been good, it's been bad at times, but that is football. And I think it's always good to have that hope of where they can get to. We know where the club has been. We know how high how close it could have been to the Championship. So we know the possibilities. And I think it's very important to take the rough with the smooth. But from a personal point of view, it was genuinely one of the best experiences of my life being there. To be supported like that by the fans was just incredible. I'm genuinely grateful for that. And I always love going back for whatever it may be. If there's another game, I'm sure I'd love to be turning up, putting the boots on, running out there to see all the guys again. It'd be absolutely amazing.
I'm sure there will be at some point with some of those players. Of course, there's got to be some more testimonials lined up, surely, at some point. Daisy, somebody like that,
Yeah, exactly. We'll put the pressure on Daisy to together and get a testimonial. It's always great. And for Ronnie's one, the last one we met up again, it was just great walking into the dressing room before, and everyone just gathered and chatting away, and that's when all the stories start. And that was a great day actually, Ronnie's one. But to be back out on the pitch was a lovely experience, really, really nice. But yeah, just to mix in again with all the crowd and the fans. And I think it was Ronnie's one, wasn't it, where Graham ran across and jumped into the crowd and ended up playing the drum and chanting with the.
I know he did it for Mitch's game, and I know
Mitch's, yeah.
There was quite a few: Bezo, Dino, Stimo,
But that just shows what the club is. Managers, staff, and players jumping about and singing, and that's what it was. It's for me an amazing experiences. Some I'll always cherish. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to come back down when I get a moment free to come and see a couple of games.
It'd be a little bit different now as well with the new stand behind the goal as well. The new
absolutely
extension.
Huge positive steps. I mean, it was different when I came back down for Ronnie's. It was a huge change from when I'd last left the building. Which was great to see. Fantastic real improvements and development of the stadium, which is only is even better for the community, for the fans again, to have a hub, to have a place for the local community to come to see and support the team.
Absolutely, and of course they've managed to get obviously the kit sponsorship with Burger King and all sorts of stuff now on the back of just getting out there and of course the academy.
A huge thing, wasn't it? It
was massive.
People who I meet now aren't not lower league fans or non-league fans. They're adamant Premier League fans, but they know the Stevenage story and the Burger King story, and it's great. Huge advertisement for the club. Very, very clever. But absolutely brilliant that the club's getting that kind of media attention as it deserves.
And with the FIFA as well. When obviously I think it was last season, there was the whole thing on the FIFA game as well, when people were playing from all across the world, from America, from Brazil, from wherever, like here, there, and everywhere. Yeah.
I remember seeing a clip again. It must have been on Sky Sports or one of the news channels, and it was I remember seeing it running along the line on FIFA, and I think Messi was playing for Stevenage and Ronaldo.
That's it. Yeah.
Not quite as good as the Championship winning team, but it looked it wasn't too bad.
It looked really good. Chris has put one comment there saying, never forget the goal against Newcastle. Well, we have totally given it to you now, then, if he's going to say that.
It's official, isn't it? We need to
Yeah.
history books if it's not go anywhere and make sure my name's in black.
Change it, absolutely, yeah. And he's also just said, are you still local or have you moved away as well?
So I am in Bromley, where I always kind of was. I mean, I lived in a place called Chislehurst, which is 5 minutes from where I am now, but very, very local area. I'm practically neighbours with Ben May, so
okay.
I'm able to say I bumped into him accidentally. We were in the park and he was there with his little boy. So I haven't seen him in a long, long time, but we would normally catch up quite a lot. He's actually one of my groomsmen for my wedding, so we
oh, cool. Okay.
In good contact. But yeah, he's literally a stone's throw away from me. So yeah, I'm based in Bromley, but pretty much have been my whole life. So when I was at Stevenage, there was me, Bozzy, Ash, and Ben May who were travelling together. So me, Ben, and Bozzy were kind of close to each other, and then we'd meet Ash in either Thurrock or Waltham Abbey. So he'd jump in halfway. So we had four of us.
That's cool.
That always helped. It was originally Andy Jury. He was in the car school before, and then Ben May joined, and so we kind of we filled the car again. But that was really important for us because it was a bit of a journey. I mean, on a good day, it'd take us about an hour and a half to travel in. On a bad day, it could be 3.5 hours. So on top of a real tough day, you might have that to face on the way back.
You never had to do a Graham and just leave your car and run the rest of the way, no?
I'm sure we contemplated it a few times. I think there was one occasion where I think it was Duke's actually and the Jury where it was standstill traffic on the M25 and everyone was out their cars, and me and Dukes ended up doing a few laps around the car chasing each other. Yeah. Before getting back in, and we used to. Ronnie will tell you this one. I don't know if you heard it before. We used to play the hot and cold game. So in the heat of summer, we'd play a game. We'd decide, right, today will be the day. It might be 85 degrees, and you've done the session from hell. Yeah. And you'd get in the car that had been heated by the sun all day long. So it was about 105 degrees in the car. Oh, wow. And the hot game was that you can't put the air conditioning on or put the windows down. Yeah. And the first one to buckle and say they wanted the aircon or the windows down would have to buy lunch for everyone the next day. So by the time we got home, I think we lost about a litre of fluid each because we were just sweating. It was just the most stupid game in the world, but it was something that bonded us. And then vice versa in the middle of the winter, we weren't allowed to eat anything at all, and with literally growing icicles on the ends of our hands. Wow. That was the kind of silly games that we used to do to get us through the tough times.
That's pretty cool though. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier as well about the whole camaraderie. It was great, wasn't it? The whole squad, yeah. Yeah,
I think there was an element of madness without a doubt. But that's the kind of thing that keeps you on the edge, that kind of pushing the boundaries and being on the edge of being absolutely crazy. Funnily enough, just is one of those weird things that creates kind of success in a really, really roundabout way.
Well, it works. It totally works. So yeah.
I think that craziness probably started from Graham. He was the one who could instill it because he would have them crazy ideas that would push everyone else. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we would do silly stuff like that, and that was part and parcel of the camaraderie and the team spirit that we had.
And Chris has put a comment here as well, and I was going to ask you this anyway, but who would you say the best player was you played at Stevenage? It's going to be harsh on a lot of the others, but yeah.
Best player I played with. I mean, like you say, I mean you could name almost every player because everyone had incredible. I think that was great about the squad, that everyone had their own attributes. Yeah. I couldn't name one player that was the same as the other, really. Everyone had their own attributes and it felt like they were the best at that, absolute best at it. Let's name a name rather than sitting on the fence. Who would we say? For me, I think you look at if I was playing, who would I want to see on that pitch? and maybe a bit of a selfish reason because he was kind of attached to me on the pitch. But
Yeah.
it would be between Bozzy or Lairdy for me because
With Scott. Okay. Yeah.
I think with Lairdy we played a lot of games in the 4-4-2 where he was left back and I was left wing, and we kind of had that connection, built that understanding where, you know, I would absolutely tear into him over something. He would absolutely tear into me about something. And 2 minutes later, we look at each other and just start giggling. But to have that kind of connecting support was absolutely incredible. He was, I mean, a great player. But for me, just that support as a left winger, to have that left back behind you could just guide you through a game is incredible. And
with Bozzy is still playing with, he's at Burton as well, where obviously Jimmy Floyd's in charge, and they've got Dino as the assistant now as well, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bozzy was one of those players that could just grab a game by the scruff of the neck and, you know, just say, no, enough's enough. I'm not going to allow that, or I'm going to go and win this game for you. I think having him on the pitch, he just gave that team that real extra something special. Obviously, we were capable of winning when he wasn't playing, but when he was playing, you knew you had a hell of a chance of winning the game of football. He was just an absolute dominant figure.
But you could have said anyone there. You could have said Daisy, Ronnie, Laurie, whoever, Robbo, Ash, Moose, any of them, Beardo,
I mean, that's like I said earlier. Every one of them had their own qualities, and if you were to talk, you know, let's talk about Beardo. One of his biggest qualities was his desire, and I can't think of anyone who showed more desire on a football pitch. You know, it just felt like that desire was the best. There was no one else who could beat his desire. And you could go through, like you say, absolutely everyone and pick an attribute that was absolutely top notch, and was far superior to level of the National League. And yeah, you could sit and talk for hours about each individual and how.
Oh, for sure, easy.
But yeah, you've pushed me, so you've kind of pushed me. I've named two rather than going for one, but
it wasn't me. It was Chris. I'm throwing him under the bus. And he also said the toughest opponent that you played against as well was another one.
Ooh, toughest opponent. That's a good question. Let's think. Where did we go? That's a tough question. We didn't fear anyone, did we?
Nah. But then obviously
that's a good problem. That I'm trying to find a team that we were struggling against.
But then obviously we played the games against, you know, you said Oxford earlier, but like Luton and things like that as well.
I mean, of course, they're extremely tough games, tough environments. I remember I didn't actually play. It was a gutting experience. I didn't play him, but Luton away. I think Lairdy got the win.
Yeah, last couple of minutes. Yeah.
Just you look at that, and I mean, I was sat in the stand and I had the view from a fan's point of view, really. And I mean, God, you watch the game, you just feel the atmosphere, and it's a tough experience. It's a tough experience to go through, and to perform and to get a result. It's a big feat, and I mean, I'm not naming an individual player or an individual team as such, but
no,
that for an example just shows that it wasn't always smooth. It wasn't always easy. There were some real tough experiences that were momentous occasions. The Oxford game at home, all right, we got the result, and you look back now and you think, oh, we just beat them and went on to win the league easily. It wasn't easy. That was a huge game.
Yeah,
you know? Over 10 points ahead of us at one point, whatever it was, and it took a hell of a lot to get to that point, to that game, to make the swing happen, for it to turn around. And
that's interesting that you kind of put those ahead of the likes of Newcastle and Reading and, you know, other teams like that as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, for the Newcastle game, you know, there was quality on the pitch in the Newcastle shirt, but it didn't feel easier. But I think it almost felt like we were in more control of that game than maybe others. The Luton game was on a knife edge. You know, it was really tight. It's really weird. It does. You can talk about the big teams, big occasions, but it might be Tamworth at home that was the most difficult game you experienced in those 3 years, for many number of reasons. It's not necessarily the size of the team or the name of the team that you're playing. It's just that game for whatever reason. And
I love how you said it was like in regards to Tamworth at home, because that was your debut Tamworth at home as well, wasn't it? So
yeah, exactly. I think as well that was the time where there was a lot of new faces brought in. All right, had the core of the squad from the previous year, but there were a good number of new faces, and it felt, even though I was new, it felt like everyone else there felt it was new, and this was the season that it was going to be. So it takes time. We'd only been together a few weeks at that stage, and we still had to learn and adapt and get to know the philosophy as the season went on.
Yeah,
which is that's a real positive thing to look at in itself, that we were able to do that as the season went along, because sometimes it can take a hell of a lot longer than that.
And of course, there was goals in every single part of that squad as well. And of course, the season before we had Morrow, didn't we? And Morrow was the man who was getting the majority of the goals. No disrespect to anyone else that was involved in there, of course, but Morrow got a hatful. And was that when you come in, and of course Beardo and Charlie Griffin, Yemi, was that always something you wanted to do? Would you always set yourself a target for how many goals say you would want to get throughout the season?
I never actually had a number. No, never had that. But I was certainly going to every game wanting to score. That was right. That would be the mentality. That would be one of the first thoughts, most important thoughts. Initially, it would be to perform for whatever the team needs to perform. But also from a selfish, I call it a selfish aspect. It's not, because you're being selfish because you want to go and score a goal, and you put that pressure on yourself to score a goal. It's only benefits the team. But
true, yeah.
I always wanted to be on the score sheet, but I never, throughout my career, actually, I never ever set a target. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't. It was one of those things that I don't think benefited me. I didn't feel like it pushed me on anymore. It didn't inspire me anymore. I like to think that I was inspired by going on the pitch every game to try and score anyway. I didn't need any more motivation than that.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. The likes of Robbo and Ash, for example, would contribute with many goals. Set pieces were a huge threat, and everyone in the team could contribute.
So we've only got a couple more questions to get through, not loads more. Do you know much about Alex Ravel as well? Of course, he was involved in Ronnie's testimonial. He played in that, didn't he? He was involved.
Yeah. So we never played together. Never really met. We've only come across each other playing football. So actually, at Ronnie's was the first time we kind of really said hello to each other properly.
Yeah.
But it is a bit like that in football. You kind of you just chat away as if you've known each other for years, because you have kind of come across each other and played against each other, and you might have had a couple of comments here and there in games, previous games. So you feel like you already kind of do know each other. But yeah, the first time I kind of got to speak to him really was at Ronnie's.
And did he say that he was, even then he was kind of wanting to get into management quite quickly? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, obviously he didn't reveal that anything would be like it is.
No, yeah,
was, but,
yeah.
I think you can tell from certain people they've just got that. I think players who are coming to the end of the career, or even when they're playing, it's obvious if they're going to stay in the game in a coaching or managerial aspect, or they're not. It's quite clear that. I think from a personal view, you know whether you do or you don't, and you can see it. You can see it in other players as well, where they are. And he's obviously gone down that route, and you could tell he would.
And he's doing well as well. We touched on it earlier, since Christmas and the start of this year, 2021. We've got some good results. We're on, even going into tomorrow's game, we're in good form, and we're certainly, comfortably mid-table at the moment, and touch wood, looking like we're going to survive quite comfortably. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's great to see. And like I said, it's always one of the first results I go and look for, to see how the guys got on. It's funny because when you look at it, I still imagine that it's Bozzy's who's playing there, and it's still Yemi who's playing there. It's still big. It still feels like us. and all the lads are all still in one group chat. So there's, even today there's messages flying about. So even today, after all these years, that it still feels like we play for Stevenage and we're all together still.
And you're all going to rock up tomorrow, and you're going to beat Borough, and you're going to get revenge for that trophy final.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's great to see Alex doing so well, and Stevenage as the club in as a whole to be in a positive place. It's really great to see.
So what else have we got? So we touched on the relationship with the fans and obviously with Graham and that as well, and about keeping tabs on the club's results. Let's have a look here now. So I think we've pretty much covered everything really. So of course you did say that you were still playing, and you were doing a bit of coaching as well. Is that you still going to be doing some coaching when you're able to again, or?
Yeah, I genuinely have to see, because with this new venture, I'm doing some craziest hours. I still like to keep myself fit, so on certain days I'll have a bit of an early rise. It's like a 3:50 a.m. wake up call to get out and do a bit of work, a bit of exercise before heading straight across. So it's an early start. It's a coffee shop that's opposite a tube station in London. So it's there for the commuters, so it's an early start. It's a 6 a.m. open up, so there's some long days at the minute, but thoroughly enjoyable. It's just trying to keep that balance of life, kids involved in it as well, so it's a testing time, and the day just has to be completely filled. So yeah, like I said, at Glebe, it's a fantastic club. It's a local club. It's worked for me previously, so we'll have to see how it goes. Obviously, the near future's a little bit unsure as to when and where the league's going to start, and
absolutely,
what's going to happen. So it's but it's been great. It's kept me coaching. I've enjoyed the time doing it. So we'll just have to see in the next month or two how it all unfolds, really.
And what I will say, one final thing I will say as well, in regards to just going back to the Stevenage a little bit, is it's great that the club's still able to do that and to get this run of form and results without the fans there. Imagine what it's going to be like when the East Terraces fall, when the new stands fall behind the goal as well. That could really help the club push on again. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, the team's done so well, like you say, to do it without any fans. It will only be added incentive and that extra motivation when the crowd are there. And again, I know when I'd be running along, playing left wing along by the East Stand, it would just really give you that extra percentage that is so important. So it'd be great to see that even when the fans can come back in, to really see the team push on. And from our experience, we were 18th at that time.
Yeah,
I know it was a little bit earlier on in the season, but anything can happen. You get that little bit of run of form, suddenly the club's in an amazing position again. From a real kind of scary time, obviously, for you.
But it's happened. It's happened at Stevenage this season. We were towards the bottom end. I think we were like bottom or second bottom, and now we're comfortably mid-table and nearer the playoffs and the relegation zone. Yeah. So
absolutely, and that's what I said earlier on, that I think as a fan, you've got to learn to take the rough with the smooth, and appreciate the bad times as well as the good, because if you appreciate the bad times, then you're only going to appreciate the good times even more so. And I think the fans have always been great. There's never been a time, even when we weren't doing so great in 18th position, it never felt like we were under pressure from them or being judged by them. It was always the same support. And even when we were doing extremely well, it didn't change the way they behaved towards us. They still chanted the same way, or booed, disappointed in the same way if something didn't go right. We weren't treated any differently, and I think that was really important.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up there, but what I will say as well, one last thing is, you did have one of the best songs, didn't you, as well? So
one of the best songs, yes.
Yeah. I did like your song.
Which is, it's an amazing thing. That's why I love coming back, and for the guys to sing it. It always gets me going again.
All right, thanks a lot, Stace. Cheers for doing this, mate.
Lovely to chat.
Always good to catch up with you, mate. Thank you.
Speak soon. Take care.
Yeah, take care. See ya. Bye.